How are we going to participate? So that's why I think it's so vital, actually, to start actually experiencing and seeing the grace that is pouring through the planet. Not just the dissolution or the destruction or the tearing down. Yes, that's a part of it. You know, there's the great birth and the great destruction, and it goes on moment by moment by moment by moment by moment, continuously, forevermore. It's eternal. The great birth, the great dying, the great Kali. But do you put your attention on the contraction and the destruction and the dissolution, or do you abide and land and become aware of and bring into your language and into your vision and into your life the great grace, the great radiance, the great brilliance that not only is descending. I notice that with so many teachers and teachings, they talk about that it's this sort of great descent. And yes, this is true, the divine, the vastness, the eternal, whatever you want to call that, it is descending continuously. And now I think as never been before, historically. I don't know that. It feels like that. Many teachers and traditions have talked about this time as the great descent. But I think what is often not talked about is that there is equally at the same time this awakening that happens cellularly within us, within each cell. So there is this awakening and arising and meeting of itself as the great descent. You know, it's that old image or archetype of where some, isolated, sin-filled, whatever, people that are waiting for this great tsunami of light to come and rescue us, and then it will be wonderful forevermore, There's all sorts of ways of describing that. But my experience, and then the only thing that I can actually share, equally within us, is this wisdom, this radiance, this brilliance, this intelligence, this fierceness, this fire. And it's just been covered over with layers of misunderstanding, of delusion, illusion, that we're somehow separate, that we're somehow not the same, that we're somehow waiting for some Godhead somewhere that's going to come in and, save us. And if we have that illusion, if we have that sense within us, then there's not the capability for this arising and this knowing of itself and this welcoming of this great descent, the great divine. We're not separate. Even this sense of this barrier that we call our body image, it's in no way a separation. It cannot be. It's impossible. It's just that this particular format or form is moving in an energetic pattern that appears that this is solid and this is translucent or air, spirit. It's been a dream and an illusion for eons and eons of time that we're separate from. But what I've discovered, and I'm sure each and every one of you are discovering in your own way, because it's the great recognition at this point. It's the great collective recognition, it's the great return that spirit and form have never been separate. Heaven and earth as one. Samskara and the nirvana is one. One of the great sutras, the Heart Sutra of the Buddhist tradition, emptiness into form, form into emptiness, one thing. So how could the inner of our being be separate than the outer of the macrocosm of the eternal? How can that be? It's impossible. So I think until we can really begin to see that what is within us is rising equally as this great descent and this great, if you want to call it, this penetration or permeation of something that our systems at this time collectively have not actually ever been accustomed to. And that's all it is.